Thanks for joining us today at Unstuck Your Business Podcast.
You went into business with a passion to explore your skills and talents and show the world what you can do to contribute into our society and into our economic ecosystem. But a couple of years into the business and your drive and motivation has dwindled, and now you feel stuck.
When you find yourself at this crossroad of thoughts and emotions, how do you deal with it? In this podcast, we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship to help you unstuck your business. We are your hosts, Inés Nazario Vega from Business Essentials Virtual Assistants.
And Edith Duran from Reason Marketing. Welcome to Unstuck Your Business, the show that empowers entrepreneurs and business owners to take control of their life and their business success. In today's fast-paced business environment, financial clarity isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Whether you're just starting out, looking to scale, or navigating complex challenges, understanding your numbers is the key to making confident, informed decisions.
In today's episode, we'll chat about ways to manage your money, maximize profits, and achieve sustainable growth in 2025. We'll share actionable tips, real-world success stories, and expert strategies to help you unlock the full potential of your business finances. So if you're ready to gain financial clarity, crush your goals, and build the business of your dreams, stay tuned. It's time to take charge of your financial future. And to help us today with this topic is Amy Green, a seasoned financial coach that was able to pay off $245,000 in debt in just 24 months. Amy, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business and your journey to becoming financially free.
Absolutely. Thank you, Edith and Inez. It's an honor to be here. And as you said, I'm a financial coach and I help business owners turn irregular income into a secure, debt-free future so they can build wealth that outlives them. I've been coaching now for 7 years, and it's really been a result of my own financial transformation. Going back to 2015, I found Dave Ramsey's program and his baby steps. And just that clarity of doing one thing at a time really helped us create a plan and follow the plan to pay off a substantial amount of debt. And I will tell you that there's more to the story than just the $245,000. So it did take us 24 months. We had a condo that I had owned and bought in early 2008. And then, of course, it went underwater after the housing market crashed. But we decided in 2016 to sell that, which was a huge part of it. We took a loss, but we sold that for about $200,000. So that took out 200 grand of our debt. We just paid off the mortgage. I had paid $250 for that thing, but we just wanted out of the debt. But during those 2 years, I lost my job. And so being on a plan was really just a life changer for us, in that my daughter, my oldest, was only 2 at the time. I was able to stay home with her. And during those 2 years, we also cash flowed some much needed home repairs. So a new roof, a new furnace, a new water heater. And we did a round of IVF all in cash because we were looking for another child. So getting on a plan really made it possible to do all of these things. And that's what inspired me to become a coach and help see other people win with money.
That's an incredible story, Amy. I mean, it's so challenging just to get in that right mindset of not using, credit anymore and getting that, because it's easy to clarify something as a necessity. So, that in itself is such a different journey to that mindset to go from, business owner to being completely out of debt and achieving all the personal and family goals that you have. So congratulations to you. That is great work and inspiring.
Yeah, very inspiring, very inspiring. So Amy, a quick question for you. How can small business owners create a realistic and achievable budget for 2025 to perhaps do the same thing you did and achieve and reach the goal that you did?
Right. So I love this question because it does start with the budget, and that's usually like the dreaded B word that no one wants to hear. But we have a few layers to uncover here, so stick with me. But first, like business owners, you need to be aware of your financial numbers. So we have to be willing to see what's going on with our numbers. Our numbers are just data. They don't mean anything about you, but they're there to give us information, right? And so being aware of our financial numbers. What money are you making? Where is it coming from? What expenses do you have? And this is both in business as one thing, and then at home with your personal as another. So keeping them separate is huge. But I work with business owners on both. So having a clear understanding, right? Both household need, like what do you need to make? And then the business, what does it need to survive? Next, I would say you list your current income for the month and then list all of your expenses. And your expenses are things, like the things that you pay to keep, we'll say the lights on. I'm paying for a Zoom subscription. I'm paying for Calendly. We're paying for the things that keep us going. But then there's also things like retained earnings that are savings. And so putting that in our budget. We also need to consider taxes. So many solopreneurs forget that they have to pay quarterly taxes, and you need to do this regularly, or the government does charge you interest. You can wait till April, but you're going to get hit with probably an 8% penalty. And so let's avoid that. And then lastly, do the math. So income minus outgo expenses should technically equal zero. Every dollar should have a name or a purpose. And knowing where you are here is so key. Like, are you over budget? Like, are we running in the red, or do we have leftover? What do we want to do with that leftover? And I'll say, like, let's not forget some of the other things that we need to account for. I know in like personal budgets, people forget about like haircuts and kids' field trip money and money for like car washes and stuff that are just so ancillary. It's not a set bill every month, but there's a lot of money going out. And in your business, it could be you're buying books or programs or office supplies, right? Things that you're just like, oh, I don't think about that. Or maybe I need to save up because my laptop will age. So we've got to make sure that we're always giving purpose to our money and knowing where it's going, and even those ancillary expenses that come up. And so it's, and then the last thing too is when you're in your business is what are you paying yourself? Mm-hmm. And a lot of business owners, especially beginner solopreneurs, don't pay themselves a salary because they're reinvesting that money back into their business. And that's okay if you can afford to do that. But if you need that money to buy groceries and pay bills at home, then we need to work on paying yourself consistently and making the business a little bit more lean.
Yes, and it makes so much sense what you just stated, to get the business owners in the right mindset and putting all of these things together for it to work and achieve the budget and the financial goals. You said the word budget, and I think that I wish that we would just use another name for it. And the reason being is that word in itself, it's like people get resistant to doing it.
Triggering, yes.
It's like one of those, it's almost like nowadays, even calling resolutions goals, it's like, oh gosh, you're going to put me in a time frame and in a box of I need to do this for this purpose. But I cannot say enough of how important it is to have a budget. And what I like about what you said is every dollar should have a name. Mm-hmm. Every dollar should have a name. And I think because I always feel like money is just a tool.
Yes.
Money is just an instrument to get us from point A to point B.
Exactly.
So we need to tell the money where to go.
Exactly. And so many of us, they ignore it and they just wonder where it went because they're looking back. They're looking back on the month. The month is over and they're like, where'd all my money go? But instead we need to plan ahead of time. So ideally you're creating your budget before the month begins and predicting, and you can estimate how much do I think I'm going to make, or how much do I make on average, or if you're salaried in some way, then that is helpful. But planning things out, the month in advance, especially when you're looking at your household budget, like how much do we want to spend in groceries? How much do we want to spend in this and that? So making it very clear as to where we want our money to go.
Yes, very important, very important. So what would you say are some proactive steps that small business owners can take to improve their cash flow?
To improve their cash flow, I would say you would always want to have a reserve. And so this is really, it can be tough if you're like, but Amy, I'm like living paycheck to paycheck, or I'm not making enough. It's so important to have a cushion. And so when you have a bigger month, I feel like a lot of solopreneurs that I work with have irregular income. So when you have bigger months, like setting money aside to just hold it. I know so many people want to pay off debt or something or do something crazy. And I'm like, that's great. We can get there, but we need this cushion just in case. And so having that reserve is so important because there might be a month that's lean. And you know what? If you have that reserve, maybe you can just, now you can pay yourself to pay your bills at home, or you can keep the lights on at your business, so to speak. So that's one thing to improve your cash flow. I think having a system for your finances is so key, so that you proactively save for taxes. So I use Profit First. You can get the book. But that's the way every time I make money, 15% of my gross goes straight to my savings account for taxes. So I can pay my quarterly taxes on time and in full. So that just helps. Then I know like I don't have all that money to spend. It's not all for me, right? So, but knowing your numbers and using your numbers to make decisions can propel you forward. So if you find that you're running, in the red every month, maybe we have to cut some expenses. Maybe we're cutting back on some things and being a little bit more lean so that we can get ahead, right? And this applies to both business and home. And so but the numbers can be like, oh, we've got a surplus. Well, what do I do with it? And we can have a plan for that too, so that we're always making moves that help sustain cash flow.
Do you have any, I'm just curious, do you have any stories with clients on creative ways that they have been able to better manage their budget, cut expenses to get that cushion going for them?
Yes. And so a lot of this has to do with, it's both business and personal. I think a lot of this falls under personal because that's where we have so much discretion and discretionary income. So I had a client, he has a business, he owns real estate. So that's his business. And that was fine. It was doing okay. But at home, he was spending money like crazy. And it's because they had a lot of debt. And so we were able to, he sold some properties. He had cash in the bank. He paid off his debt, which was like 86 grand. And he freed up probably about $5,000 in monthly minimums. Because some of those minimums were like $1,500 a month. Like some of them were big. Wow. And so he paid off his debt. And then we're looking at the rest of his budget and we're seeing, areas that he can save in because they're just overspending. They're just like willy-nilly just doing stuff without thinking. And I was like, is this normal for you? And they're like, so we started to say, let's bring things down. Like groceries was out of control and some things were just a little big. And between just looking at where the money was going and reducing some of the lifestyle creep that had happened and paying off debt, he's able to have $8,000 to set aside. So now we're setting aside money for taxes. But once taxes are caught up, if you will, he's going to have $8,000 a month to put towards retirement. He's 66 years old. He doesn't want to stop working. He loves what he does. But in 6 years, by the time he's 72, with that money invested really well in the market, he could have up to $800,000 retirement. So right now he's got like, I don't know, 40 to 100,000 in retirement. He's going to have an additional 800 by the time he retires. So we can make these moves where we look at what the money's doing and start to say, let's do this. Because by paying off all that debt, he's saving himself all of that interest that he was paying. So that's huge in that sense. And now he can maximize the money in the stock market, in good growth mutual funds and earning, interest. Now he's earning interest and not paying interest.
Hi, I'm Edith, owner of Riza Marketing, a boutique marketing agency in Orlando, Florida, where we have a small but mighty team dedicated to helping service businesses dominate in the Central Florida market. We begin by helping you discover your own secret sauce. You know, that one special something only you offer and your ideal clients love you for it. When you take pride in the service you offer and the experience you provide, but feel your marketing message isn't resonating with the right audience, we can help. When you're at a loss for creating advertising that evokes emotion and prompts action, we can help. Or if releasing viewer-worthy content with consistency is an ongoing challenge, we can help. Riza Marketing helps you define your unique flair and deliver creative content on a dependable schedule. Online marketing is easy when you have a team of pros by your side. If you're ready to make marketing fun again, then visit our website, rizamarketing.com. That's RIZA marketing.com. and schedule your free discovery call today.
Wow.
That's an incredible story, Amy. And I'm sure you have, many others, especially working through the Dave Ramsey program. And I love what you said about, having those reserves, because there are those lean months. I work with a lot of service businesses in planning their marketing year. And one thing I see repeatedly is at the end of the year, during the holiday season, a lot of these service businesses are not generating the revenue that they normally do and that they count on. And what do they want to do first is they want to pull back on their marketing. And that's the last thing they should be doing, because just because people aren't making decisions at the moment doesn't mean that they aren't going to starting in the new year. So having that, making that plan that, okay, mid-November through December, we're probably not going to be bringing in that revenue. So let's plan for that and be ready for it. Because like I said, what I see them do is cut out the marketing because they're not getting the revenue. And then that just hurts them more at the beginning of the year.
Right. I think it's funny when people want to cut the expenses that actually have an ROI, right? You're
Yes.
actual ROI. And we see it, and I just think about retailers, right? They're pretty much running in the red all year long until Black Friday. And so, and that's when they obviously ramp up their marketing, but they're marketing all year. You want to stay top of mind. So you don't want to ever lose sight of that, because there's a lag, especially like I'm a coach, and in coaching, like there's a 30 to 90 day lag based on the efforts you're doing. So the efforts I'm doing in January are going to reap in March, more or less. Right. And so we've got to always keep that in mind, that, we might have a down month, but if we can plan ahead for it, reserving money to the side, saving money aside for that, we have the cash available to continue our marketing efforts, like making that a monthly expense that's non-negotiable is key.
Yes. I think that's definitely one of the areas, like Ada said, that companies and small business owners say, well, I don't have the money to market anymore because of this and that. It's like, that's when you need it the most.
Right. Exactly.
That's when you need to do the most marketing.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with analyzing the data to say this marketing method is not working, but this one is. And
correct.
Using the data to serve you better instead of just throwing it and being like, oh, nope, stop it. Because I think a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. They're doing it in their business. So what they make in August is used up in August, and what they make in September is used up in September. So by October, November, December, they have nothing. So we gotta plan out ahead to like keep the reserves there so that you can operate in lean months.
And I think that's a phenomenon that not only happens with small business owners. I come from the corporate arena, and corporations do the exact same thing. They start losing money and they look at the sales and marketing department. And another department they normally look at is training, which to me, it was also crazy. You invest in your people so that you can have more revenues.
Right.
Go ahead, Amy.
No, I was just going to say, like during COVID, the businesses that survived were the businesses that had cash reserves. Like that's it. The businesses that could survive could continue to keep the lights on and pay rent, even though customers weren't coming to their restaurant or whatever their business was. They could maintain that because they stockpiled cash for situations, not necessarily a pandemic, but for situations similar to that.
And all of this falls into being strategic with your revenue, with your income, and the expenses, so that you are at least ready for just about anything. And I'm curious, with what you're talking about here and all of those strategies, how do you incorporate credit? Because, you're saying personally, we want to stay out of debt. But what about for a business? Is there a strategic way to use credit and investments?
So all of my clients are solopreneurs. They work for themselves by themselves, and maybe they have a VA or someone that's contract, but they're really just a company of one. So a lot of my clients actually have SBA loans that they took out during COVID with the hype of forgiveness, and they're not forgiven. Like there's different types. There's some fine print. Like one client, the one I was telling you about earlier, he has $430,000 of student loan debt, not student loans, of SBA loans that are not forgivable. He had some that were forgivable; those were gone. But now I'm like, dude, you have four. This is a lot, and so we don't know what to do. Like that's a sticky issue because so many companies can't pay them back. So when I look at credit or using debt to build your business, I tell people to avoid it as much as possible. I understand that some things are capital intensive, but let's save up the cash first if we can to then do it. But we have to have a proven model to be able to pay it back. So I get a little nervous around debt. I don't mind debt as a tool. I have a credit card. Clients have credit cards, right? So if you're using it and paying it off in full and all those transactions are in your budget, great. But we don't want to jump ahead and take out a ton of debt on the hope and prayer that this thing will work out. We want to make sure it's a proven thing, and we use debt strategically, if anything.
Have you ever recommended using credit cards as a debit card, and where, like you said, they pay at the end of the month? It's like using it like your checking account, but making sure that you pay at the end of the month, that you don't pay interest on it, just to build your credit score, and later on have that capability of using credit as a tool for the business.
Yes, I don't mind credit cards as long as they are paid off every month. And all those transactions fit into your budget. I will charge stuff on my card in January and it goes into my January budget. I'll just make the payment in February. So no big deal. Because one thing I've learned is that it really is helpful to have a FICO score. It doesn't mean anything about you. It doesn't mean that you're wealthy. Like you could be Jeff Bezos. I mean, but his FICO score means nothing about his wealth. It's just how has he used debt. And so I don't look at it like I'm not going to use it just because I want to build my FICO score, but it does help to have one. But we just moved. We moved in September and out of state. And you need it for the electric company wants to run your credit because otherwise they'll charge you $150 deposit. And I was like, I'm not paying that. And my credit's always been frozen and all this stuff, right? And so I had to unfreeze it and they were able to do it. But having a credit card with a balance or with revolving credit on it really helped me get a high FICO score just to make the move easier, right? So it just makes life a little more simple in some ways. There are daily limits on debit cards. You can change them if your account allows for it. But like if you want to buy like emergency, you need to buy an airplane ticket and it costs $4,000 to fly somewhere and you can't, your debit card only has a $2,500 limit, you're screwed, right? So having access to that in emergency situations can be okay, but it's being strategic because like knowing that I can pay that off at the end of the day.
And if you do find yourself that in the crossroads, okay, like you said, like an emergency, somebody passed away and I have to get a ticket and lodging and everything else, last minute, it was just not in the budget. And they put it on a credit card, of course, because there is no other option. What will be the next step you will tell a client like that to do?
Right. So I've had a client like this, right? She was scared to death to take out a loan to fix her sump pump. But she's like, we're calling the plumber like every other month because it's not working. And I just told her, I was like, you're debt free. Like your future self is debt free. So this extra $5,000, it allows you to flush your toilets. Like, let's just have the peace of mind of knowing that like our house is okay. We don't have to stress. And we're working on a plan to become debt free. And so we don't necessarily always want to take out more debt, but the debt means nothing about you. It's not, there's no shame, there's no embarrassment. It doesn't mean you're a failure. You're in a place and the debt's a tool to get you out. Like I'm just thinking about LA and like, let's say you're surrounded by fires. You need to get yourself out of there. And if you're going to put that on a credit card to get the heck out of there, it's going to save your life.
Right.
And so what I don't like is when people go into debt with a pie in the sky kind of mentality or like, treat yourself and just going nuts. It's being strategic. But if you have access to it and you have access to credit to just get yourself, where you need to go and handle that emergency, that's what it's there for. I mean, I'd rather you have a cash in the emergency fund, but if you don't, this is another option.
Yes. And one more question. When it comes to mindset with the relationship with money, what do you think is the biggest challenge that people have from a mindset standpoint to get to a program, to do what the program does for themselves. Because that's where I see most of the challenge is, breaking habits. Like, for example, if you have the habit of driving down the street and getting a Dunkin' Donuts cup of coffee every day with your little sandwich, how do you break that and get to your mind, like, how to reset your thought process around the management of money?
I would say that when it comes to some of these habits, like you mentioned, just daily, a daily coffee habit or a daily like treat habit, it's understanding where that habit comes from and more or less of like, what does it mean to you to be able to buy yourself, your daily breakfast sandwich and coffee from Dunkin' Donuts? Is it, I grew up poor and I never had this, and this just to me feels like I'm successful? Is it, is there something else about it that feels good to you to do? Because I think a lot of times we often have these thoughts about money that are so deep ingrained in us that it's hard to excavate, and they're represented in our outside manifestation of our finances. So however your financial situation looks, it's kind of all the decisions you've made over the course of your life. But a lot of it comes from internal, I'll call it internal programming, from childhood. And what does it look like? I'll use myself as an example because I grew up in a fairly frugal household. We were very smart with money. We did, I'll use air quotes, the right thing with money. And anyone who did anything different was just irresponsible. Like, oh my God, they're taking all these lavish vacations and buying brand new cars every 2 years. That's just crazy. And so I grew up with that thinking that's not for me. And that's just being stupid. And then I grew up with, I can't afford it. And I've learned that that's not necessarily true. And by not spending money, and I think back to my childhood, not spending money, it restricts a lot of fun. It restricts a lot of enjoyment. It restricts investing in yourself or growing or just a lot of different things. But I've learned now that we need to spend money for enjoyment and for fun. And that we can do, there's so many shades of gray when it comes to money, what is right and what is wrong, that there's really no right or wrong. It's what's right for you. And so being able to unlock that, right? Like to unleash that and to be able to say, oh, I don't have to pay for this brand new cell phone in cash, which was what I used to think. I can put it on my cell phone bill for $30 a month. And it's okay. Like, it's okay. That was a huge step forward. Because when we start to unlock these like old patterns, like it will shift things with your money. Like now you're shifting your relationship with money, and that will allow abundance to flow. I was a controller. I wanted to control everything and control money and control the spending. But when you control it, you can't let any more in. And so we have to be careful. And I'm not saying go on a shopping spree. The suckers out there, don't think that this is your ticket to go to the mall. It's knowing where you are and kind of understanding why you do what you do, right? And this is where I help my clients. Like I really get to get underneath the surface of like, your money looks like this, but let's get underneath why. And we can excavate that and start to clean that up. And then your money starts to change. And that's the fun part. But that's the stuff like when we talk coaching, we don't talk like, I want to work on your mindset. Like, or we're gonna mess with your head. But that's where the meat of what I do is located in that.
Awesome. Well, Amy, we're here towards the end of our podcast. So what would you say from this amazing and wonderful discussion are the 3 main takeaways for our audience?
Yes. I would say that money can be overwhelming. So, and it's normal to feel that way, right? It's, looking at your numbers, the budget word could be triggers. It's okay to feel it. Feel that feeling. Feel the trigger. Where does the trigger come from? Why do I feel triggered? What about my past has triggered me about money or whatever, about my debt or about this or that? And then just look at it anyway. Like start to take action, get a guide if you need help, learn some stuff. But the more you allow yourself to feel the feelings and get underneath it and then take action, the more you're going to unstuck yourself. And then it would be to trust where you are and what you're doing. So many of us don't trust it. We're always comparing, and I should be here and I should be there, and we're shaming ourselves. And you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you need to be. Like, you're good. And if you don't like where you are, then that's okay. Like, you can learn things to get help to move it in a different direction. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're right where you need to be, right? And then 3 is definitely just to look at your finances, both in business and at home. And so I want you to just do it anyway, right? Like, do it anyway. It's going to be scary. You might be like, I didn't realize I had that much debt. Or you could be like, oh, my net worth is actually not so bad. So once we open the closet, we'll see that there's no monsters inside. Like, really, your numbers, I would say, looking at your finances, your numbers don't mean anything about you. Like, you are worthy as you are. Your numbers are just facts. They're just data. And that won't be changed. Like, if you were a B student or a C student, it doesn't mean that you're not a worthy person. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. One metric, right? It's just like, who cares? Who cares about that? It doesn't matter anyway at the end of the day.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Coming from a straight A student, it doesn't matter.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for really sharing an amazing wealth of knowledge in this episode. For being one of the first ones in 2025, I think this is great information for our business owners community. So again, we want to thank you so much for being with us here, and tell us, where can our audience connect with you?
Absolutely. They can connect with me on Facebook or Instagram at Amy Green FC. There's a third E in green, or they can email me at amy@amygreenfc.com.
Fantastic.
All right.
Well, thank you so much again, Amy. And
absolutely. Thank you.
And Happy New Year. And I hope you can help so many more businesses in 2025 become financially free.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Inez and Edith. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you. Let us know what you think about today's topic by leaving us a comment and a review of our podcast.
And if you found some value on the information shared in this podcast, please subscribe and share. And you can find us on our Facebook page, Unstuck Your Business, and join the conversation and engage with other entrepreneurs, as together we help each other unstuck our business. Until next time.
Until next time.